This shoe is very interesting, at least for me as an actual sneakerhead, someone that's into footwear of all kinds. Not only is it from a running brand, but it's also a collaboration. It's also a first-time retro for this brand, meaning that they've never re-released anything before until now. And the most interesting part is actually the technology within the shoe. HydroFlow, water-powered cushioning. Sounds cool. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today, we take a detailed look and breakdown. Would you consider these bad boys?
Yep.
This is the Staple x Brooks Adrenaline GTS 4, an original model from the year 2002, being brought back today in the year 2025. Not only brought back to original form, but actually improved upon from its original 2002 release, so that if a runner wanted to run in these today, they could. That's how serious Brooks is about this type of shit. They're not just putting out retros. They're like, no, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. It kind of reminds me of a certain someone with a Mamba mentality. I really wish that that brand would have stuck to that mentality, but whatever. This is the box that it came in. It's got pigeon all over it. It's kind of cool, actually, if I do say so myself. Jeff Staple, for those of you guys that don't know, which, I mean, if you're into footwear, you should know, but he's been kind of like a reoccurring person within the sneaker realm for quite a long time. Not only has he done multiple collaborations, one of which caused absolute pandemonium and chaos, the Nike Dunk Pigeon release. We've actually covered a previous Staple collab with Allbirds, which a lot of you guys did not watch that video because I guess you're not into those shoes. But maybe you'll be into these. And not only that, Staple has actually released its own brand, which we're not reviewing right now, but these are the boxes. They've got a waxed pigeon seal on there right there. So that's pretty cool. I got two of their different models. And if you wanted reviews on his actual footwear, let me know. Now, as for the shoe itself, as I was saying before, this model right here, the Adrenaline GTS 4, has not been seen on a retail shelf since 2002. So that was its original run. And for whatever reason, Brooks just has never gone outside of like, we're creating new running models motto until today. But they did it with today's runner in mind. So if you, again, wanted to grab these and wanted to run in them and maybe just look fresh doing it, you can. The outsole's fairly traditional in terms of overall running. We do have a lot of rubber, which is really cool. So that's different than modern shoes where there's barely any rubber on there. But what you see here is all of this hot pink stuff. All of that's rubber. The majority of the black is actually the foam underneath it. It creates flex grooves for flexibility and range of motion. Not all of the black portions are the foam though. A lot of it is rubber. So where you see it like smack dab in the middle of stuff, like this is a big rubber chunk, this is a big rubber chunk, and so on. So again, if you wanted to run in these today, you could. A lot of this stuff is still, you know, current as far as today's trends go, or what actual runners want to run in. Fun fact, by the way, Mrs. Wing over there, her favorite shoe to run in is actually a Brooks shoe. Which model is it?
I really like the Ghost line. Right now I'm in the Ghost Max 2.
Okay, and what is it that you like about them?
I like how my feet feel in them. Like there's enough wiggle room.
That's as simple of enough answer as you could get, which is perfect, because that means everything to a runner. Feet swell, they get bashed around inside the shoe. And if they're comfortable while they're in motion for what, miles at a time, it's important. Now, as far as the technology goes, like the actual cushioning and everything, that's where things get like really weird, really fast. Because this is something that I have actually never heard of until grabbing these in. So I did a little bit of research and it's very interesting once you start reading about it. But the midsole itself is a traditional midsole. It's an EVA midsole. It feels very lightweight, it feels very comfortable, it feels awesome. There looks to be some dual density foam setups within it. So there's two different colors here. You can see the dark gray and the black. I don't know if they are actually dual density. All I know is that traditionally with running brands, especially when we're talking about like their retro catalog, which again, this is a first for Brooks, so this is their first one. Typically those foams are two different densities. You got one for stability and then you've got one for actual cushion. However, in the heel on these guys, they feature what they are calling HydroFlow. And this is not new to Brooks as a brand. This was actually created back in 1989, which is insane to think about. But if we look back at certain other brands, like say Converse, for example, and their React Juice, this is a very similar concept, only I believe this may have come first. But either way, in the rear of this shoe is actually the HydroFlow technology, which means that there is liquid in the back. I don't know if they're going to be able to hear this. Can you hear that?
I can hear it.
I read everything and I immediately took up the shoe and I started shaking it. I was like, there really is like liquid in here. And it's so weird to me. A little bit different than React Juice. Like React Juice was liquidy, but this sounds like straight up water, even though it's not. I actually do have a sample pair of shoes that are hydro cushioned legitimately. And we have not talked about them. I do kind of want to, but like the YouTube landscape, bro, like if you guys don't support the content, it doesn't go anywhere, which means that we... But much like the staple shoes, if you wanted an actual review on the first real hydro-powered cushioning sneakers, let me know down below.
The power is yours.
But basically, the back section of the shoe features a little heel pad, and inside that is a silicone liquid. And according to Brooks's original like promos and ads and stuff like that, which luckily we were able to find, not only were multiple models featuring this type of cushioning, but people were really fucking with this back in the 80s. So like, it's really cool that they've decided to go back and retool this and recreate it for this shoe. Again, their first retro model, and they went back and recreated tech that doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, Reebok, what the f are we doing? So yeah, the way that everything feels is, I would say, at least at first step in, is very just meh. You can't really feel much of anything. You really got to move around in these things to actually feel like you're activating the rear section of the cushioning. And same thing with the forefoot and everything. The forefoot is just foam. It's not anything spectacular feeling, but it does feel good. It feels neutral. It doesn't feel bouncy. It just feels light and flexible. Great for everyday use? Probably. Great for running? I mean, I'll let runners decide that. I'm not doing that kind of thing. You know what I mean? The most I'll do is like miles of walking. Now the insole looks like a piece of shit, but it's actually not. This is actually a really nice insole for what it is. It is a ortholite style of foam, but it's very dense despite it looking recycled. A lot of times when you see stuff like this, it's very open cell, very fluffy, feels good from a step-in perspective. But once you start walking around in them, that thing bottoms out real quick and you're practically walking on the strobo board. So this is not that. This is definitely a more substantial version of that. Again, it's very dense and it feels very comfortable underfoot. I do like the graphics that they threw in there. I think that that's dope. It's paying homage to both collaborators here, both Brooks and Staple. And also, they switched out the strobo. This stuff was not used back when the shoe originally first released, but they've got that blue padded foam, so there's an additional layer of cushioning there. Again, they're going back to the drawing board, not just pumping out something identically as to what it was. Like they're doing something where like the things that you don't see make small changes, like in the way that the shoe feels, fits, and performs. Now the upper is probably the coolest part, at least to me, even though the cushioning is like one of those like, whoa, that sounds crazy. But the upper just looks dope, at least in my opinion. I don't think the materials are fantastic and outstanding, but as far as a runner is concerned, like, I like this. And real quick, before I get too far ahead of myself, I did see that there are going to be general release versions of these releasing, so not just this one collab colorway, like there will be like just more readily available pairs like soon.
Shut up and take my money.
But either way, the upper consists of a basic build for runners, especially for back in this time frame where we've got a predominantly textile or mesh build. The secondary material is this black section right here. That's a synthetic nubuck. And then sitting on top of that is a synthetic leather. The synthetic leather sections also do mimic leather texture, despite them not being leather at all. So while I'm usually just a fan of actual raw materials, I'm never one of those guys where it's like, as long as they're trying to mimic it, I'm gonna like still scoff at it. I'm not like that. Like as long as they're making it feel and look like leather, then I do like that. Like I want it to feel old school, and it's cool if it's more sustainable. The pink hits are kind of like that staple, like staple. It's a staple for staple. So I think that that's a nice little touch. And for those of you guys that are wondering, yes, there's plenty of reflective hits all over the shoe. You can see the staple branding there. You can see the little pieces there on the toe. I think that's really cool, that little gradient piece. That's sick, and it's reflective. Ultra sick. The HydroFlow section is reflective as well. So like they've done a great, these are dope. I really with these. The tongue looks awesome too. This is something, if you watched our GT Cut 3 Turbo, the black label version, where the tongue was just a really odd shape, especially for performance, especially for a performance basketball shoe. And I was like, man, I would have loved if that tongue was more anatomically accurate, where like it actually wrapped around the front of your shin and leg and things like that. And that's what this tongue is. So this is what I was talking about in that video. I think that this is great. It's comfortable. It's not a thin, flimsy piece of shit tongue like what we saw on the Adidas Avengers.
EVO.
Yeah, you know, the EVO, like great shoe, but that tongue was horrible. This is more my speed. I really like this. I like the look of it too. I like the collaboration branding on there, the co-branding. I think that it's awesome. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, they do fit true to size. Whatever you typically wear, that is what I would recommend. Wide footers, I think that some of you will be okay as long as it's like slightly wide. If you are a super wide footer, you might want to consider going up half a size, even though the textile should break in, but you might have that spillage look, and some people don't like that. So they are slightly narrow looking, not feeling. Now, with all that being said, what is today's user submitted question of the day?
It's time for superhero free agency. From the Avengers, you have the MCU OG version plus Spider-Man, and on
Hold on, slowly. From the MCU.
you have the OG version plus Spider-Man.
Okay.
On the Justice League side, you have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and Aquaman.
So they're OG7.
So Hawkgirl's not a part, but she was in the first season of Justice League.
Yes, that's a cartoon.
They just needed another lady.
Oh, probably. But yeah, who'd they take out? Aquaman?
Aquaman?
Yeah, not cool.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Like, not cool since until New 52 for Aquaman. The shark thing. Sick. Before that, he talked to fish, you know, super friends. But still.
You can trade one member from each team. Who would it be?
I'm trading players?
Yeah, one member from each team.
And putting them on the other team?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, let me think. I would like to move Wonder Woman over to the Avengers. I want to see her and Cap interact. In return, they receive...
Hawkeye.
That was my first thought. That was my first thought, but that was also kind of f***ed up because it's just like, eventually Green Arrow, you know what I mean? But like...
They don't have him yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they could trade him back then.
I'm just wondering if that's going to f*** up Green Arrow's...
Like he might not make it on the team?
Yeah, but I guess that's fine. But yeah, Hawkeye, just because like, you know, Hawkeye's cool and stuff. I'm not trying to downplay him. I'm just saying like with the rest of them, because I would like to see Hulk and Superman interact. And then my first thought was moving Batman over to the Avengers because of his like brain and like his tactician.
But you already have Tony.
Oh, that would be a great dichotomy. Like, who is the dude? Because at first my thought was like, what would Batman do with the Hulk? And Batman has like contingency plans for all of these League members and like how to stop them just in case they ever went rogue. He would do that with the Avengers, you know what I mean? So I think it would be way easier for him to do that with the Avengers than it would be with the Justice League. But still, I think that's where I would go and that's where I would stay. The thing is that I want to see the interactions. Like, how would they play off one another? So yeah, that's my choice. What about you guys? Sound off below in the comment section. You got the Justice League, you've got the Avengers, the MCU version, and you got to swap one player on each side, and why down below. I need to know your guys' thoughts. But with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate your guys' time. We will catch you in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.